It is seriously acting slow here, trying to get it to go.
Here we go. It just came through, brother.
Okay, cool. There we go. We have connectivity and we have people chatting, and it's looking like the real deal. All right. A second for still away. Sorry to keep everybody waiting so long. I fell asleep. Welcome. Somebody had to get a nap. All right. So looks like testing loyalty. You're right, Diane.
Testing loyalty. I love it. Love it.
Scott, damn, dude. Okay, all right. So Kipp Waxwell's with me. This is pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited. He has a pretty neat perspective on all this and quite a bit to share. And I've never heard him on a live. Maybe I did at one time or another for a short amount of time, but things were a blur for me during that time. So it's great to have him on here where he can elaborate on things and tell his story as to what this journey's been like for him. Thanks for coming on, Kipp.
Thank you.
I know. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know a little bit about your story, and actually how, in some ways, your story is similar to some other people I've talked to, as far as how their journey has kind of played out and different things they've looked into, they've gone into deeply, and so in a sense, others your story about how this examination, as I'm kind of calling it right now, how this examination has all unfolded for you along the way, and some of the different areas you've looked into. So having you here to speak in front of many of the well-informed Vegas shooting examiners, if you will, it's quite likely going to be of value to those interested in the topic of the Vegas shooting as a whole. So I'll just start at a generic question. I think most everyone gets asked when we do these live streams, and knowing that you've been studying the topic. And I know that's going to open as of up close and personal experience to this as it happened in your town. So go ahead if you'd like and run with that, and we'll see what we lead into next.
Okay. Well, basically, I've been here since 2010 in Vegas here. Started out as a VIP host, right? So I've kind of been in the industry for a while. I kind of worked my way up into running my own venue inside of the Flamingo Casino, and it was like an open bar situation. So I kind of we had to contract different, police officers, security companies, this and that. So I've been around town. I've been doing this and that. I kind of know a little bit more than somebody that doesn't live here. No disrespect, but it's different when you live here. But yeah, go ahead, man.
Gotcha.
What would you like to know, boss?
No, I hear you. You made that point. It's a little bit different than those who might not live in town. And I mean, myself, I'm a long way from there, so get a true feel for and what the people that live there went through as a part of this is, it's beyond measure as far as value. So it's interesting to hear you talk about that. So I don't want to slow you down or stop you on that by any means.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin, honestly.
So one thing that as far as your place where you work, that night, how did it go for you guys there and your crew or your staff that you work with? How did that play out for you?
Well, what was weird for me was that we're at the Flamingo. That's a couple blocks away. It's a couple blocks north. In the evening, I don't know. It was like we started selling an open bar like around 10:30, right? So we started selling open bar, and it was a regular night. This and that. All of a sudden, I started seeing people run through the casino, and I saw people running through with kids and this and that. And I'm like, I had to stop a lady and go, "Hey, what's the matter?" You know what I mean? Because we're right there on the floor. It was very interesting. Everybody's running through there. So I stopped a few people, and they were saying that there was active shooter right there in between us and the next casino next to us. So that's kind of what kicked it off for me. I wasn't aware of anything, you know what I mean, until then. I had a few friends that were at that event that were chiming in at the same time and sending us pictures and this and that. When we had to refund a lot of people, there was people running, like screaming and crying, and they were pretty convincing that there were shooters in between us. Now we're right across from the Bellagio, like right in that area, right where Flamingo is. So, when we shut down the club, I decided to go out there on foot. All of our enforcement was already batched to that side of town, so everybody was leaving. But I mean, they were saying there was active shooters where we were, so they were telling everybody basically to get the hell out of there. Now, at the same time, I had been seeing a girl that had been working for the Mandalay Bay inside of the Michael Jackson 1 theater. She's been working there as an usher for a couple of years. So she was also getting a hold of me and telling me that they were going to reroute them and send them wherever and what have you. Now, mind you, I was living with that girl. She didn't get home until like 10 a.m. the next day. I had plenty of questions for her. Because she was right working there, and that's, when I come across, the non-competes, the how she told me about how, and showed me as well, like they get bulletins and they also have a meeting where, prior to shift, telling them what's going to happen for the evening or what have you. Well, on that Thursday, prior to the weekend, they stated straight up that they had drills going on, terrorist drills going on. They didn't state which day it was, which hour it was. They just said, hey, be aware. These are going on throughout the weekend. So just be about your business and just know that. Now, that was a factor as well. So I don't know. It was a pretty interesting evening.
That had to play into your.
Yeah, when my woman didn't.
That had to play into some of the things you explored along the way.
Right. When she didn't come home till like the next morning and she was telling me about how they held her up, I thought that was very interesting because I'm only a couple miles from the Strip on the west side. So I walked home from my venue because I couldn't get to my car or anything. I got home within an hour and a half, and she wasn't home until the next morning. So obviously I was very concerned,
I can only imagine. I mean, geez, not knowing, and I guess getting a hold of her was probably a challenge as the night went on.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, there were.
She wasn't inside the theater. She was actually inside the Mandalay where they eat, the dining facility. So I guess had she been in the theater and not on her break, they probably would have taken her to the Thomas and Mack Center like they took everybody else. I know they shut down all the freeways and everything, and she couldn't even. I mean, I couldn't even get to her even across the freeway. She couldn't even leave there at all. So that place was on full lockdown.
Well, it's interesting. The whole topic of drills, it's been explored in depth, and there's been a lot of talk about signs of drills and planning for drills, and I think that goes for various parts of Vegas, various parts of a lot of cities, from what I'm gathering these days. But I haven't seen anything that clearly ties any sort of drill to this tragedy specifically.
Here's the thing I'm going to say to you right now, Secrets. I mean, a lot of people don't realize this, but when you go to work for a casino, you sign paperwork right there on the spot before they even hire you. You definitely, a non-compete is in there. I know from my girl, because I was grilling her and asking her all this stuff daily, because I was watching the Scott Binsacks, all of them, you know what I mean, trying to figure everything out. And when I'm hitting her up with all this stuff and I'm noticing that she's just clamming up and not telling me stuff, it was very interesting. It was a very interesting, you know what I mean? But it was even to the point to where she wouldn't even tell me stuff. And the more she would hear everything, from my YouTube and all that playing. And it got really odd, really weird relationship at that point. And that was a weird thing for me, but I understand it too, because if you say anything or do anything, trust me, you're going to lose that job. She's a Romanian girl. She was an immigrant. So basically she's not going to, they hire a lot of immigrants. They're not going to mess with anything. That's the best job they've ever had. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. You there, Secrets? Hello? You there, buddy?
I'm here if you can hear me.
Beautiful. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, sweet. All right, good. I'm back. Yeah, sometimes this mic will just turn off on its own, so or lose connectivity, I should say.
Yeah.
So she was very guarded about her employment, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
From what I gather.
Yeah, man. It was crazy.
So what did you gather from that? I mean, did it make you more suspicious about certain things, or did you feel like it was just the lay of the land? That's just how it goes when you work in Vegas. You just
listen, man. After 9/11, that really opened my eyes up. You know what I mean? To look for things. Obviously, like a lot of us. That's just it was just a lot for me to swallow. You know what I mean? That's a lot for me to swallow. And then, like I told you earlier, man. Listen, you could have had 2 or 3 of those weapons with half the ammunition, and I would have killed way more people. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. I'm just saying it's just too much for me to swallow, man. Too many weapons that are left and right sided. You know what I mean? There's too much weirdness. There's that spot shotter there with who uses the spot shotter by themselves. I don't know. There's just so many things that didn't add up. You know what I mean? It was really, really, really.
Are you talking about the high-powered scope, the spotting scope?
Yeah, absolutely. Who uses that? You tell me one person that runs to that and goes, okay, I gotta adjust my shot to the left by a couple of feet here, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, you don't do that. You have to have somebody else telling you where your shots are hitting. That's what that's for, right? Unless I'm wrong. That's what I use.
Typically how it's used. Yeah. That's typically how it's used. I mean, it's super powerful, obviously, if you need to zoom in real close and look at your target, which now that we know a little bit more about what the target was down and around the tanks and stuff, rather small target. I mean, I could see you wanting to pinpoint things more closely with a higher powered magnifier like that, spotting scope. I mean, I could see you. Otherwise, I don't really know what it was brought up there for. It's big and bulky and took up a lot of room, and
right.
It's unusual for that to be used by one person, like you said. But what all was he looking at, and how far away, and what was he examining? We don't really know the answer to that. He was looking at more than just probably targets, really. I mean,
yeah.
I'm looking at the comments a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
But the weapons that I looked at. Now, I know that we got into this topic a while back in this community about left-sided and right-sided bump stocks and stuff. I never personally saw any of the bump stocks that were made for left-handed.
Right. Right.
Identify. I missed the video on it, and I missed the imagery of it all together. All the bump stocks I see in there are right-handed.
Right.
So I don't know if that needs to be re-examined or if there's just confusion around it, but that's my take on it. And so that's kind of just a topic along the way, I guess, that may or may not create confusion if it's not clarified in full. But I thought it was all right-handed myself, and then I settled into the thinking that the rotating of the weapons when you're firing 100-round bursts through them is not a bad planning measure, just from the standpoint of the barrels getting hot and things like that. And
yeah, once you get to a certain amount of fucking rounds to that, excuse my language, once you
and keep on going. Plus, you can have all the magazines,
right, like those
weapons before you.
Barrel. They're gonna melt your barrel. I've done it in the military, just shooting rounds, a lot of rounds. So yeah, so I can see why he would switch a lot of weapons, but at the same time, again, like I don't know, man. It's just nothing really added up. That's why we're all here, really. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that's funky in that. I don't know, man.
Funky things, and I think the goal along the way is to, first of all, it seems like in this community the goal was to identify just how many funky things that we could see. And I did look at this is whacked, all this stuff's weird, and then I think we filled our plate with that stuff because we had plenty of time to do so. And then we go from there to getting more and more evidence and information and more people studying in depth and coming up with little answers along the way that kind of wipe off this little issue over here a little bit, cleans up that. We get a better understanding here about one thing or another, whether it be even the number of people that were looking up at the Mandalay Bay when shots rang out. We start, okay, here we've got all different types of citizens looking up there as this gunfire rings out, law enforcement, former military people looking up that way. And so even something like narrowing down the possibility of additional shooters, we were able to tune that in a little bit. And I know some still think that there's a strong possibility of other shooters, and I think even people who were there that night still feel that way. So
yeah,
that's fair enough. And not being able to validate that has been a big challenge for this community, because those who went through this and what they experienced and trying to get an understanding of it has been a focus for many of us, included our own desire to have an understanding, but certainly the people that were there and were going, what just happened, and so the questions that they have answers, or the answers they're looking for has been a priority as well. But not being able to validate some of that stuff has been tricky and challenging. And then in an effort to try to narrow it down to that occurred that night,
right,
you look at the evidence, and a lot of the evidence lines up pieces to the puzzle, and you start coming into, okay, gunfire coming out of that hotel up there. We got a guy that locked himself in there with his own weapons in his own rooms. We got him carrying up suitcase, all this kind of stuff. So you start to say, okay, we've got a curtain that's blowing in just after the breach. That window was definitely had a hole in it. So people said they could see gunfire coming out of the hotel about halfway up. You put that together, you say, okay, there's bullets raining down. You got the taxi cab video, you got the gunfire ringing out loud right above her, and all this stuff just starts coming together over time. So now that doesn't take anything away from some of the other oddities that you're pointing out, and trying to validate if and how those oddities fit into this equation. And so that's kind of this and where we are with it. You know, I think that answers are there. We found them, and they're are looking in various areas that are non-supported, and then there's some
Yeah.
people looking in some areas that make a little bit more sense because they tie into what witnesses experience as well. So
Right.
I'll turn it back over to you, Kipp, and
Well, let me say one thing to you.
let,
Basically, this has been a couple years now, right? I didn't walk the grounds. Okay, this last anniversary, I walked the grounds, and with respect, I walked the full grounds, just trying to look and see for anything, just like any of us would. Now, I didn't plan on making a video, but the reason why I did make a video because it was just that ridiculous. I've shot into all kinds of paper targets. I've shot into plastic targets, what have you, in the military. Now I know what a shot looks like. Just if you ever go shoot at a target, you know what your shot looks like going through there. Now, when I walked the grounds and I saw all the shots coordinated with where he was coming from, because you got to remember, I met with a lot of survivors here, and all of them, pretty much all of them I met, has said multiple shooters. They didn't believe it just came from just there. So that's why when I walked the grounds, I was trying to look and see, where is this really coming from? Do I have any evidence coming from anywhere else? Now I'm gonna tell you one thing: walking the grounds, when I was at that corner right there on the boulevard, basically those all came from that room. Now, when I walked to where that center stage was on my second video, basically you can see striations from when it came from there, but you can also see straight shots. Now, I, for the longest time, thought that the towers were a significant spot, but when Mike covered that, it totally covered that for me. 5x5 covered that very well, because I was always wondering. I didn't have enough balls to walk in there and check it out. However, that solidified that for me. But however, I do feel that there are straight shots going into where the stage was, coming from that mount. I don't want to sound crazy, you know what I mean? I'm not TIU. I'm just telling you. I just know there's shots that are coming also straight, which
well,
is a couple dozen. So I don't know, man. I think it's from the mound. I think somebody laying in prone would do that. But again, listen, we're all set into a speculation thing. You know what I mean? Like, all we can do is speculate. But when I see actual bullets marks going through that fencing, and I can follow it with a pencil where they're coming from, I find it hard to believe that somebody went there and just punched a bunch of holes just to support their theory of whatever, right?
you know, I would probably tip my hat to you in terms of having a better understanding of determining trajectory based on the impact mark you're examining, um, with your military experience and having fired a lot more rounds and so forth, and played, with different targets and things. So, I would be out of line saying, man, there's no way. The thing that comes to my mind is that uh, we just can't find anything that matches up with gunfire coming from available, and given the statements heard by witnesses and law. So it kind of runs into a thing like you just said. It kind of gets speculative, and you go off your gut feeling, and then that's where we come back full circle. You're going off your gut feeling, and you're trying to put it
Right.
together. They're going off their gut feeling. They're trying to put it together. So it's not a fault finding mission. It's more of a qualifying the possibility mission. Is what is the level of this possibility that you're considering? And I don't know. I guess at this point in time, you have to figure it to be fairly low. Otherwise, how many people would be trying to quiet the, how many people would have to be oblivious to somebody firing from that mound section. I mean, I guess if they had a silenced weapon,
right,
that's a different story.
right. That would be the only way. I mean, obviously. Well, actually, I got to take that back. Listen, I will tell you right now. I've checked out.
I guess no, and I guess maybe it might pick up a silenced weapon.
Everything echoes. It's like an echo chamber right there in that section. It's crazy. So like if no matter what happens, it would just echo off of each building there. It would be very, very hard to shot spot that. I mean, obviously the software would work. But I mean, if you were just a regular citizen, you wouldn't know. Most regular citizens don't even know, the different sounds of like when a bullet flies by you, or the sound of that and the sound of the cracks. They don't know how to distinguish all those sounds, So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it. I really do. It's just hard for me to swallow that it was just him, though. I'm not going to lie to you. You know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to swallow that it's just this old man doing that by himself.
Well, that's been hard for I think a lot of us. I mean, self included. That was one of the things that pushed me out into very that had nothing to back them up, and I went off on some rabbit holes and off on some that were driven by that same feeling that this 64-year-old guy couldn't, and so forth, and or had no motive to physically. Was he able? Didn't seem fitting for me, and it caused me to literally go off into areas.
Why so many weapons modified? That's the question, right? That's the question I have. Why so many weapons modified in that specific way? Unless you're trying to, I don't get it, man. It's just weird for me. It's really hard for me. I try.
You're talking about the bump stock mod?
Just all of those weapons, the way they are, the way they're set up. God, man, it's just I don't know. The email he sent to himself, you know what I mean? It's just I don't know, man. Listen, it's a perfect cover if you really think about it for a gun runner, obviously, to work in that kind of capacity, to get paid in that kind of capacity, to be able to do that. It just that makes more sense to me than a lot of things. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound weird, but I don't know, man. It's just hard for me to believe that this guy did that himself, or that
on one hand, that concept does fit for me, especially at one time it did. Then you look into some of the information for the weapons, and for example, one of the weapons was actually sent back to FN Personal for a warranty service that FN Personal had identified, as a requirement for the weapon to function as it was intended. So indeed, right. Paddock sent it back to them, and they fixed it and sent it back to him. And then you've got him taking these weapons into gunsmiths, places of business, and having them cleaned, and first one thing and another. So he was actively using them. They needed cleaning, and Mary Lou talked about going out and setting up targets. He was using them. So from a gun running standpoint, that kind of doesn't fit for me anymore as well at all.
I understand that.
This guy buying all these weapons in his name, sending them work, and doing modifications to them in a way that would be conducive, carried out. Put 14 bump stocks on them, fire off 14 volleys, if I recall correctly, depending on how you divide them up and count them.
Right.
So the intent to use the way they were used in the crime, and how they were all decked out, equipped, modified, kind of fits, So I guess I would say that's my sort of feel on that, my assessment on that part of it.
Okay. Rightfully so, too.
Okay, so let's see what else do we want to touch on before we talk a little bit about your experience uh, and some of the relationships you developed along the way in this community.
Mm,
For example, how do you feel about the 911 calls that took place after 11 p.m.?
uh, that's a hard one for me. Like I said, I was walking home, and shit, so I didn't see any. I didn't get any of that till way later. Uh, I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't. Here's the deal. You know what I mean? Like I told you, I've been here in town for a long time. With our open bar situation, I've had to contract a lot of the cops. I've known a lot of the cops, including the cop that took that gentleman who got shot to the hospital. Uh,
Uh-huh.
they're not actors, man. They've been here for years, been enforcing stuff. They've taken care of numerous problems for me with drunken people here in town. Uh, so they're legit, and we've had great conversations because I'm ex-military, so are they. Prior to, not after, but to the point where I just knew that they were legit. You know what I mean? So that's what makes it hard for me. I really feel that a lot of these officers that are here they definitely didn't have a clue. They definitely didn't know what was going on. Whether it was a drill or not, they didn't know what was going on. I had some guys that I could hear everything going on the radios and everything. Like I don't feel that that's the case. I just think that there was something funky going on that we will never know about. I mean, no matter how we chase it, this town has a way of hiding things. Like, for example, I had a guy jump off in a casino and basically land on his head and commit suicide and blew his brains all over a mall area inside of Planet Hollywood. So when that happened, all he did was just within 3 hours, it was back to normal. You see what I'm saying? Like, this town has a way of not letting you know all the people that are committing suicide or all the things that are bad because they don't want anything bad with the tourism boards. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
it's things go on, but they also don't. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of stuff goes on in this town that you'll never hear because why would they want to scare people from coming here? This is the elite's playground. So,
Oh, I'm sure there's controversial that uh, would drive business away or affect the local economy, and um, that's probably pretty much status quo in many cities. In terms of reputation management associated with it. So probably more so important when you're dealing with a huge amount of commerce that's stretched out over just a 6 mile area of casinos.
yeah.
And probably gets pretty critical then. So I'm sure there's a lot of hush hush that goes on a daily basis. How a bunch of hush hush could take place on something like this might be challenging. So
Okay.
many people involved in
With that
the
being
response
said,
to crime.
Secrets, not to interrupt you. Let me ask you a question. So let's say like you were having drills, right? And you were in charge of everything in this town. And those drills let's just say shit got sabotaged. Would you now being that you're coming up on re-election, would you want to show any kind of like holes in your game? So I kind of understand why a lot of shit went sideways and under the you know under the blanket, if you will. I don't know. I understand why it happens the way it does. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. That idea of a drill being actively going on in and around the time frame that this took place has been kicked around a lot.
Yeah.
And I know that there's been some huge efforts to try to show the connection
Mm-hmm.
that seem to have all fallen flat. But everything you said about managing an image for a city and the things that go on. Um, that all we know how that tends to go. We know how media is pressured to limit what they say, and we're that. And what extent that took place there, I guess. And nothing can be clearly illustrated that shows connects people that are examining the possibility of this drill. They're also at the same to thinking they're seeing crisis actors and making this accusation, and also even skipping arm in arm with people who want to suggest that the actual deaths did not actually occur. So they're tumbling into an area of having no credibility whatsoever, while also claiming drill, drill, drill. So suddenly the idea of a drill starts getting laughed at, because those who are most strongly trying to suggest that it was indeed the case are also suggesting these things that are
Right.
ludicrous. So how it operates. If you're suspicious of it, then I respect that. I mean, I've never wanted to rule out the idea of a drill gone wrong or something like that, and was open to it until it a absolute involving ridiculous amounts of speculation and crazy conjecture.
Right.
Listening last night, we heard discussions about, and this is not the first time it's been brought up, we've heard discussions about these refugees, as they were called, running across the runway and winding up in the cell phone parking lot. Well, sending crisis actors, as it's being suggested that those people were, sending those people across a live runway would be a pretty interesting way to try to carry out a drill involving crisis actors. I think it would be insane to tell them that they're supposed to run across these runways.
You would not go that far. Are you kidding me? Like, you would not go that far. You would stop way before that. Why would you even need to go that far? That shows you the sheer terror that was going through these people's minds. I walked those grounds and I saw how they could do that. And I saw how they came back and why they came back to that area right there behind Melissa Ramirez's spot. Because they got shut down, man. They didn't know where the hell to go. You got to remember, everybody that comes here to town, they didn't know. Everything looks like it's real close when you're in this town. But when you start walking around, you're like, whoa, you start to realize, oh, everything's a couple miles away. You see what I'm saying? Like, they ran to wherever they could find safety, and unfortunately, a block and a half away was the airports. So what can you do? You know, if anything, to me, that shows.
Well, and you look at that area back there.
You know,
there's also this idea that the gate was open back there, right there where that cul-de-sac is, next to the parking lot where Melissa was.
Yeah.
Look, I might have worked on a gate or two over the years. Might have worked on more than a gate or two, and it was said that that's a heavy-duty gate. Mentioned who was saying that vehicle would have a hard time even smashing through there and all kind of stuff.
Right.
The thing about gates is, especially swing gates like that meet in the middle, the opening mechanisms that attach and then communicate with that keypad that was pointed out there that's located in the cul-de-sac. Those opening mechanisms, they're motor driven armature mechanisms that connect to the pins, and a lot of times cotter pin with this too. But all one person has to do is at the dividing point of those two, pull one out, push one in, you can squeeze through. Now you're on the inside. Now you can pull pins. Now you can kick things loose.
Yep.
I've seen it happen, maybe even firsthand. And getting those gates open would not be an impossibility at all.
No.
If just one person out of 30, 40, 50 who are showing up trying to get through there at this and
Especially
get a gate open.
Especially.
I mean,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. You know, so, and then you look at the fences, all the photos we have of the fences in the area and how they're absolutely just torn to shit. And I'm talking on both sides of the road and on down around the cul-de-sac. People were going no matter what. Now, here's the other talking point that keeps getting beaten like a dead horse. These people that were coming back in a westward direction that were seen on the security cam footage that was overviewing the parking lot where Melissa Ramirez was.
Yes, right behind her. Yes.
They're highly suspicious to some because they're coming back westward as its action of gunfire. Fire had not been heard at the time that those people were heading westward.
Right.
And let's look into reasons why they might be heading westward. One, fell down that roadway back there where those airport hangars are, and they realize they have to take a right and go through a rather thin alleyway.
Yeah.
That will take them on around a large building and out onto the tarmac if they choose to.
Right.
Well, after going that far and not hearing gunfire for 7 minutes or so, they might decide, you know what? We don't want to proceed further in this direction. And our only way to get back over and go, say, maybe up towards Hooters, up towards that side of town, and not in the direction of the airport, which would be a sensible thing to decide at that point in time, is to turn around, head back the way we just came, and then make our way up towards Hooters or wherever the hell we want to go, try to get back to our hotel, try to get back to the strip in general. We haven't heard gunfire in 7 minutes. I mean, that is a little bit more imagined. These people didn't follow through with this is another crazy ass idea I heard. These people didn't follow through with their assignment to run all the way across the damn live airport tarmac. They turned around and didn't realize they were going to get caught on security cam footage. That was something I literally heard come out of someone's mouth. I mean, this kind of shit, this is why people lose total credibility.
Yeah.
And it feeds into the problems when people are looking into things that they're genuinely suspicious of or that they have a strong hunch about and they'd like to explore it further. It's like you pile on a bunch of bullshit on a sandwich and now you might as well throw it away.
Right. Well,
all right. I'll stop for a while and let you take off.
That comes to the point to where you start to think, well, do people have motives? Because, you know what I mean? Like, we've already seen in this community how there's a great divide. Yeah. So I don't know. With all this, we've all seen kind of, it comes to a certain point where you kind of see everybody's motive. It doesn't matter what they say. Their actions speak louder than words. So that's kind of at the point where I'm at right now. I mean, people say that I flipped. Listen, if I flipped because I met survivors and they told me and they showed me a shirt with blood on it and fucking brain fragments, excuse my language, and all that shit, and you're trying to tell me, and I'm seeing this person break down and I can't even bring them forward. I had to stop myself because I was like, I can't even bring them forward to be on you because they're going to get attacked. So I was like, and the person is truly genuine. That's when I was like, done. I'm done. I'm done with the bullshit. Like I know people have no reason to lie when they're crying and they're totally broken down as a person in front of my face. You know what I mean? That's kind of where, I decided to flip. And it wasn't that I fully flipped. It was that I kept my mind open. But then when you start to meet survivors, you gain a respect, and it just makes it to where you get really pissed off on people who have no respect at all, just start throwing shit out. And it's like, how could you ever expect anybody to stand up and say anything because they're just going to get slammed? You know what I mean? And told that they weren't there or what have you. You know? I don't know.
Well, you're touching on a broad topic of value, in my opinion, and that is, you meet survivors, you start hearing what they've gone through, what the people they know have gone through,
Yeah.
how things unfolded for them that night in dealing with injuries of their own, injuries of their friends, recoveries of their own, recoveries of their friends, all these different stories that they've had to experience and go through. And you realize the seriousness of it, the magnitude of it, your empathy level, skyrockets, because you just can't imagine having to go through that. And it's serious shit. And then so you compare it to some of the lunacy and some of the people out there putting things basically silly as hell. And you get how these people can be easily re-victimized in a sense by the lunacy that is put out here on YouTube, the ridiculousness fade in, and how it affects people. Especially, in this crime here, you have people that have been looking for him that were there that night, and they come on here and they get subjected to this kind of ridiculous crap and these accusations that are made against survivors. And you get into a topic there where we're talking about the impacts of social media on victims of crime.
Yeah.
And I'll just go ahead and right now give a shout out to a channel called Team Phoenix. They spend most of their time involved in examining other crimes, but they have experienced the exact same when it comes to foolish behavior, foolish accusations, ridiculous, conjecture that's put out that is harmful to people who are, devastated by these kind of crimes, different kind of crimes, but they're devastated. So it's a real thing. And again, the channel is Team Phoenix. Maybe I'll put a link here and about them more. That's a good cause to get behind. What's being done to people on a careless nonsense out there. Now, when we get into the careless nonsense and hideous actions, we get into a topic that you're very familiar with because you developed some working relationships with some people in this very community, the Vegas shooting community, that were up to definitely no good in terms of where they were spending their time and energy and who they were directing their investigations towards. So we've seen this numerous times with different individuals as the target, and we've seen this carried out by different players in this community where the YouTubers themselves become the target of the personal information is dug up and comes through, and then it's handed out and passed along to other people in this community so that they can ultimately be used and being targeted, the YouTuber being targeted. Your story, as I understand, to what happened to 10:05 p.m., who's now Daryl 2019, and how that unfolded. So now, if you'd like to get into that topic and what you experienced various YouTubers doing as they target.
Okay. Well, basically, a lot of us in the beginning, we had our Scott bin sacks, we had all that, right? I came across 10 just like the rest of us did when he was walking with his dog, you know what I mean, talking about everything. And I was all about 10's, Daryl's stuff. You know what I mean? He was his perspectives are great. The way he would show everything was great. I was all about him. And then I can't remember, what was it? Oh, Fast Forward's channel. I somehow came across a Fast Forward channel, and so I was being cool with her, and then all of a sudden everything got skewed. It was so weird. It was like all of a sudden it seemed like it was Daryl was behind this and behind that, and he was because she got like a message on her live one time and said something like, "I'll cut your tits off and kill your dog," type of situation. So that's what made me go, "Whoa, what?" And then I noticed that TIU had his thing, so I was just I was open to everything, so I was checking everything out because I keep an open mind, yeah. And And I got basically started checking into that. And then when I started checking into there, of course, you know how they are. They're like, oh, who's this Kipp Waxwell? It's 10. So I was like, I had fun with it. I was like, I'll bait him. I was like, yeah, I'm 10's nephew. You know what I mean? And then it got into this, True Seeker, why don't you do a background check on this guy and do a blood sample, this and that. So long story short, she starts, she gets a hold of me, looks at my stuff on Facebook. I had nothing to hide. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. So we become friends on Facebook. She starts sending me all kinds of stuff against 10. Like, I could show you the screenshots, but we don't want to dox 10. But I mean, she was like, it was like his criminal history. It was this and that. It was like me and a team of crack investigators are working on this. And he's linked with Paddock in this way and this. I could just go on. And I was like, wow, it kind of blew my mind. And then when she showed me all this stuff, listen, we all do wrong, things happen, but clearly that's information that should not be passed around to people. And it kind of made me go like, wow, why is a person, the only person that ever sent me anything was her. It wasn't KL, it wasn't Truth Bomb, it wasn't anybody, but it was her. And, we kind of became close, but then I kind of started to see what she was doing. And, after I met my survivors and stuff, and I kind of just saw the light, that's where we fell away. You know what I mean? But I mean, listen, when we show them reality, like TIU and his fence thing, oh, the white fence. Well, there was blood right there. One day he showed me, he was playing a video and I go, hey, there's your blood right there, buddy. When you see that people don't want to accept reality, you got to cut yourself from them. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. Otherwise
you're screwed. So that's kind of, how I came about to, they want to say I flipped or whatever. I don't know if flipping is meeting survivors and seeing the reality of it rather than living in Kentucky or wherever the hell they live and speculating on some body cam footage. Go have at it, man. I don't, it's like, I know I live here. So I don't know. I got a dog in the fight. That's how I look at it. That's why I get people shit all the time.
Man.
Yeah.
And you have reason to question of your closeness to it and explore that. And then you also have reasons to be able to shut it down when you hear a bunch of nonsense as you've described.
Right.
Now, Daryl 2019 is here, and I know that I don't think you and him have had a chance to really talk about how this unfolded with True Seeker laying this information on you about his personal information. I mean, every bit of his background she was dumping on you, as I understand it.
Yeah.
And to what gain, I'm not sure, but I guess it was a fun, exciting time for her to be releasing this information on another YouTuber. And
listen, that's why I apologize.
Trying to expose him.
That's why I apologize to a lot of people when I.
Well, I just want you to be able to know that he's listening, and you can go into detail on just how extensive that was.
Yeah, I mean, I could even. I don't want to pull up the screenshots because I don't want to disrespect Daryl in any way, shape, or form. But I mean, I could show you from the day it began all the way through, and so what's weird to me is that like why would somebody spend so much time? That's the point that I'm coming to. Why would somebody spend so much time to go against somebody who is, what is it because he's on point? That's what I'm thinking. Why would you devote so much energy? Yeah. I don't understand it. What kind of a threat has honestly Daryl done to anybody? That I've never saw.
Yeah, to go to that extent and want to just totally try to attack him, essentially attack him.
Everybody's been
by threatening to expose him.
That's for sure.
Yeah, all that. It was a big lead-up process. He was getting all this kind of stuff, and then it came to fruition. They started trying to expose him and everything else to run him out of town. Over what?
Right.
Over what?
Right.
Meanwhile, these same people will sit over there and tell you you don't like it, don't watch it. But yet they'll go through all these great links to literally go on a personal attack on somebody by doxing all their personal information and everything about their address, their family members' names, their background, anything in their history. They will go to all these links to attack somebody in that fashion while jumping around over here saying, if you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Now that is stalker behavior.
Well, of course.
And that is what we've seen time and time again out of Truth Seeker.
Unfortunately, yeah, true. I thought she was honestly like when her first entry to me was like an email saying, "Oh, I'm with a crack team of investigators. We're all this, we're all that." So I was honestly impressed. I thought she was shedding light on me. You know what I mean? So like, she's got a charm about her, but I mean, once people see the truth, I mean, I don't know. I can talk shit about KL and all them, but honestly, I got to say the truth. Nobody has ever sent me an email on anybody or dox anybody except for Truth Seeker. Bottom line. And I see the commonality. I try to look into, it's not just this, man. It's plenty of things. So that's why I'm like, wow, this is bigger than I thought. I don't want to speculate, but it sure is funky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just this person is Truth Seeker's highly disruptive in so many ways. It's even come out of her own mouth recently about playing both sides and how she did so for certain gains. And this was said just the other night. I couldn't believe I heard it come out of her own mouth. But this is pretty sick behavior. To what gain and how it's going to benefit her is beyond me. But I don't see a clear-cut path to how it benefits her. I just see her getting her kicks off of it.
Right.
And
ambulance chasers, that's what comes to my mind.
Well, it's been bad for business around here. And there's been a hand in for business as a result of their loon. I won't go into that tonight, but obviously Truth Seeker is a big problem, because what we'll also do is get into comments and things and start trying to play the victim as if somebody's after her, when in fact what's happening to Truth Seeker is that she's being called to the mat time and time for her behaviors. And it's not going after her, it is actually calling her out and speaking the truth about her actions, which she will completely live in denial about.
Right.
That's the fact of the matter.
Commonality with those type of personalities that I've learned in my 47 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and if the screenshots ever need to be shown, I'm sure they can be shown.
I got no problem, but the first thing I'm going to do is just like we discussed earlier, is we would have to clear that with Daryl out of respect. But I mean, yeah, I got no problem. That's why I said I'll light her up. I got no problem with her. You can try to come after me. I've been real. I'm the only Kipp Waxwell you can find in this town. I'm probably the only Kipp that people probably know. So I got nothing to hide. I'm not hiding behind an icon. I'm here at all times. I pride myself in that. You know what I mean? If you can't stand up for what you believe in, then you shouldn't be living, really.
Yeah, you're who you say you are, and it is what it is with you. So not pulling any punches, and your credibility is not tarnished in the way that a lot of these people's credibility is. So let's see. Daryl made a comment. Let me make sure that he's addressing you here.
Keep everything you have. The documents KL distributed. She gathered, passed out for others. Okay, yeah. So Daryl, to answer you on that, Daryl, basically, I have never, honestly, all the shit I talk about KL and her cat shit breath, nothing ever came from her. It all came from, it all came from Truth Seeker. So, I mean, I could show that. It's documented, no problem. But I mean, I can't talk shit about those other people. I don't know what they might have done with other people, but I mean, I know from my experience, it's only been Truth Seeker. That's the best I can say on that.
And then CL brings up a good question. You know, when you did get, it was a weird the way the behavior was directed towards you after you indicated that you fully believe in the victims and what they went through that night.
Oh, they all
how the shunning took.
Yeah, they all didn't like that, you know. And what was wrong with that? I was just doing
Didn't
my
like
part.
it, man. That's an understatement.
Yeah. Fuck, that's so weird. Whatever. That's when I learned, though. That's when I learned, you know. That's why I came across and said sorry to everybody for all the shit I was talking. Listen, if you're my friend, I'm gonna back you no matter what. That's the type of person I am. If people want to talk shit, I'm gonna back people up and talk shit. That's why I talk a lot of shit online. I have fun with it. But I mean, it does come to a certain point where it hits me deep inside, especially when I walk the grounds or when I meet with these people. That's where my breaking point was, you know. Bottom line, man.
It's you have to do from the madhouse and 2019 absolutely. KL had information early on, April 2018, roughly. Yeah, ultimately it wound up getting in the hands of others.
Yeah.
So these kind of things have made it challenging to have the conversations that a lot of people want to have in this community, and stay focused on various pieces of information that we like to deeply analyze. I had the pleasure of doing some research earlier this week, and it was an area of research that I hadn't been able to explore in some time, and so I dove into it and just kind of got my mind wrapped back around it and tried to come to some conclusions. And my conclusions uh, differ from what they did months and months ago. So that was a pretty neat experience, and I still enjoy certain aspects of things, but I mean, that's wanted to, if I could offer any would, but it was in like the old days, and look, I know a lot of people enjoy that and don't like all these distractions, and unfortunately, all these distractions are a part of the lay of the land anymore because of some of the behavior that we've talked about tonight, coming from some of these people and the actions that they've taken against others and the disruption it's caused and the effects of all that. For example, with anything that's been directed towards survivors and or victims, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's I'm going in and out, Scott said. So, all right, I'm going to turn it back over to Kipp then, because I believe he's got better connectivity on his end. Go ahead, Kipp. I'll shut up. The audio doesn't cut in and out again.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, honestly, listen, I know I'm on the right side of things. I really appreciate you all on this side of things. It's a logically minded people are very healthy. We've all been through so much shit with all this. The only thing we can take away from this is just I don't even know. I mean, I actually became very conscious that from all this that there is another side of things. Like, that there are people that want to push disinfo. And the first cue for me was Truth Seeker when I was totally on. Listen, I'm online a lot because I was working from home from like the last year and a half. So I'm online all the time. So I would notice that she's from the East Coast side of things, but she's always online, whether she was saying she was at work or this and that. So that started to bring my conscious level to a different point where I'm almost thinking that these guys are all together on the other side. And I don't want to sound like a weird conspiracy guy, but I mean, why would there be so much effort towards skewing shit? That's the point where I come from. Like, why would you put so much effort towards that? the disinfo side of things.
Yes, and I hope I'm coming through clearly here, but towards that, and trying to create more confusion around things through crazy speculation. Like it has an end goal, or there's an end game to it, and why is the question that you posed.
Because
And
obviously we're getting close. Obviously we're close. That's how you know you're close, is when people put so much emphasis on changing your path. That's how I look at it. Otherwise, what I mean, why would you? Why would you?
well, there's also a networking effort that's ongoing over there that is pretty clear to see in terms of trying to build a network of supportive channels that will entertain these crazy um, speculations that are derogatory in nature towards victims and survivors and the
Yeah.
families of those people.
Yeah.
That's quite obvious. To drumbeat data, rally as many as possible. And it is much like that of a cult in the sense that, when you enter into that environment, it's all about friendship first, and then they get into all the other stuff and test loyalties and things like that. I mean, I've studied some of that. I've actually looked at quite a few videos on how that, but we've got SSWY just come in, and Team Phoenix has just come in, and
Yeah.
everybody's good to see everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Team Phoenix has a neat program going on over there to advocate for the rights of victims that are closely related to crimes that are discussed in detail, and trying to keep victims from being re-victimized, essentially. So
Right.
it's a neat effort that he's putting forth, and a good group of as well. And so that's neat to see. Um, what else? What else do we have, Kipp, that ties into all this? The manipulation, the gamesmanship, these efforts that you've witnessed firsthand, going into creating confusion, and then also these attacks on YouTubers and victims as well.
You know what I think it is, man?
You know,
Honestly, I think
go
that
ahead.
if you send a team of people to disrupt everything and make everybody look nuts, or make, like, if you divide us up, make us look nuts, make the, I think all those things have uh, a straight objective, right? Those are all things to break everything up. That's why I'm saying I think that the more aligned you are with reality, the more shit gets thrown towards you, obviously. And I think that's where that's coming from at this point, because there's no other answer I have for that. There's no other answer why I would think, why would they dox 10 and send all that bullshit? You see what I'm saying? To me, who was I? How did she even know who I was? You know, and who am I to think that I'm the only person she did that to? I'm sure everybody she says she sends emails to, I'll guarantee it, she's everything she sent me. I'm not special. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's I don't know. It's really weird to me. I mean,
Well, what happened to Daryl 2019? Um, Scratching the surface in some regards, because as that kind of behavior has spilled over and been directed towards actual victims of this crime,
yeah,
um, there's been threatening phone calls made to victims of this crime.
yeah,
There's been all kind of over the top behavior that quite likely stems from the same little network of people that engage in this kind of anyway. It all festers and gets worse and worse, out of control, and more people are affected by it negatively or messed up by it as well. But one example that came to mind a moment ago, there was, I guess, this guy in Arizona that claims that he lives in a town that a bunch of crisis actors are from and frequent and grew up in. And you know who I'm talking about, Kipp?
No, I don't.
He was in the Truth in You community. Claimed that he had direct involvement with one of the victims' fathers, and the father threatened him, and this all took place out in somewhere around Kingman, Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm saying that correctly. But yeah, this particular YouTuber was maintaining that even a couple of the LVMPD officers were from his hometown and gone to these different with him or what have you, and he knew that they were involved in some sort of type operation and stuff forth like that. Matter of fact, I think that's his channel name is Crisis Cast.
Oh, okay.
I want to say it's J-Dub would be the one that was carrying on about this stuff and claiming basis to what he was saying. And I think he's also the one that suggested that particular victim I mentioned, who he claimed that the victim's father threatened him. He claimed that victim passed away before the concert. And that very victim, you're right, Harpo, that very victim actually had on his own Facebook page been photographed, had photos on this dated concert. He was there without a doubt, undisputable. And here's this guy carrying on like with all this extraneous nonsense about, oh, there's these crisis actors that live in this. So that particular victim did not pass at the concert. He didn't even go. And it's just this kind of crap. And then you've got people who are supporting it.
Right.
Clapping their hands, patting them on the back, encouraging it, while we all claim to be here to get to the truth of the matter.
Right. Hey, you know what's funny to me too on that note is a lot of people talk shit about Jesus, right? Oh, he's this, he's that. I already knew about Jesus. My girl even knew about Jesus. I asked her about him right when that shit went off. Everybody knows each other when you're working a casino, basically, even if it's a big casino, right? Like, and she's a cute girl. So like all the security guys were always talking to her. She knew about him way before that. I heard all about that guy. He basically was like a gun shy puss. No offense, but I'm just saying he doesn't have any military background or nothing. So like, that kind of a situation would throw anybody into shock. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of understand that too, but knowing what I know, hearing all the bullshit just made me be like, what the fuck are these people thinking? Because I know firsthand, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, he really legitimately is a security guard there. Yeah, I mean, I do believe that. Now the sheriff's card thing, I understand that, because like I had to get a sheriff's card. Like if you work anywhere on the strip, you have to get a sheriff's card to work. There are things like that, but I mean, who really knows? You know what I mean? You tell me what person's going to give you inside information and risk their job there, especially when they're most likely 70% immigrants.
There you go. True.
You know what I mean? Like they're happy to have.
It's going to be limited. That's for sure. It's going to be limited. There's statements out there and people who have come forward with saying that they've witnessed some things that were denied by the authorities. So it's troubling. Right. And the feelers are all still out there in case any of it. But realistically, those are all kind of cold, dead ends of sorts. And so that's kind of where we are with that stuff. but some of this other crazy stuff is needs to be reined in quite a bit.
Yeah.
Observation on, for example, the Melissa Ramirez stuff, the
Yeah.
questions that have been raised about that. I've got answers to half of it.
Yeah.
Time and create a video just to shut one loudmouth guy up over here who wants to bang his drum all night, saying that the whole situation was fabricated. I've got to take time out of my day to point out where he's wrong.
Yeah.
I guess I do, because he's not going to listen. He's going to sit there and block people. Anybody that challenges his source of information, which we all know who that is, and I think most people know who I'm talking about when it comes to the Melissa Ramirez subject.
Yep.
And where the disinfo is pouring out. But anyway, let's and see what if they want to talk about anything. I know Scott said he didn't realize that you were working that night in town. So
yeah.
Any questions coming from the chat, we can look at that now.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they're still awake, we didn't put them to sleep yet. CL's got a story she's talking about there I'm familiar with, and it ties into this disinfo problem that we see put out on social media, YouTube specifically. A gentleman knew an acquaintance of CL's and knew him. They didn't see him very often. It was I think a restaurant owner or something like that, but I won't go into too much detail. But the guy hadn't seen her, heard about the shooting, and he had even heard that this woman, but he had not seen it with his own eyes. And in the meantime, over the course of months, he had been on YouTube, and he had been listening to these self-proclaimed whiz kids out there claiming to know everything and anything about the case and dumping out their library of data that they had, even though they can't seem to put the data together in a logical fashion. They're dumping out all these tidbits of information that seem, jaw-dropping to the typical person listening, and they think, oh, this person's an expert on this. And then the person who's putting out the information goes on to claim that, oh, this is suspicious, actors, deaths aren't real, whatever. Well, this guy that I'm talking about began to suspect this, and began to suspect that his acquaintance that he knew and didn't see often might have been a part of this suggested trickery. And so I guess CL and him, cross paths, I guess, and they talked about it, and this guy told her that. The person enlightened this person had sustained and how very real it was and what a tough recovery they had been through. The guy was once again awakened, but he had been put to sleep by the disinfo brigade on YouTube. So it's a real thing. It's a real thing. The brainwashing is real. I hope I explained it effectively. Absolute confusion and convoluted, delusional people talking about shit, and they all believe that they are making sense. Yeah. Talk about a group of followers. That's one aspect of it that blows my mind. The followers, right? Because this whole truth initiative, all these critical thinkers and these people who question everything, it's so that they're not being sheeple, right? And then you look at the people who will sit and nod their head to everything they're saying, and you're going, man, you guys are looking like sheeple over here,
Yeah.
The desire to just follow in line. The most I'll try to stay with the chat a little bit here. You guys roll with it, but I'm gonna see if we have anything. Kipp, what were most people's reaction that night, or did a lot not know what the hell was going on based on what you witnessed?
Okay, so like a Flamingo, I'm at the Flamingo, right? It's on Flamingo Street. If you actually look at it, like I said, it's a couple blocks north. In between the Flamingo, you have like on the north side, you have a new casino, and basically right in between there is like a promenade, and the people were saying there was an active shooter in the promenade, which is right there, like in between us and what's called a Link Casino. Now,
Okay.
I had stopped, like I told you, people were running through the casino. I'm on the main floor, and I'm like, what the hell? About the fifth person that ran by me, I stopped this lady with a kid. She was crying profusely. So I'm like, I asked her what happened. She said there's an active shooter out right there. So like at the same time, we had to give refunds to people because they were like, fuck this, we want our money back because they just paid. So I had to handle that situation, and then they told us to get the hell out of the casino. Like they were clearing all the casinos. Then as I ran across the street, they said right there, basically at Caesars, there was an active shooter. So I just ran through and just kept on going. You know what I mean? I didn't hear any shooting personally, and on our end of things.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, that's everybody was running, even where I was, which was like, I don't know, like a half a mile away from where the shooting was, north. So the whole damn strip was in an array, and they had sent, like, each one of our casinos, we have probably about, especially where I'm at, we got about, I don't know, about 30 different police, law enforcement. You have different, you have all aspects, but I mean, everybody got shifted. They all took off, red lighted, and went straight to that end. And then there was only a couple of cops,
Uh-huh.
that stayed and locked off the streets, so that way nobody could go back down that way after that. But they shut the whole strip down immediately, and then shut down the freeway that was next to us, and would not let anybody cross that freeway either way. And like I said, the only way I could get home was to walk home. I had to leave my car because I couldn't cross over the strip to go home. So the whole strip was.
You talk about that strip being shut down.
Yeah, the whole strip was shut down.
That and you may have a better feel for being actively involved in the industry you're in. I was reading some stuff about the economical impact of this thing. The impact, basically, short term. The way things were shut down that night, the impact it had on revenue for casinos, the costs associated with law enforcement and first responder as a whole response, and what it cost the city, what it cost businesses, was somewhere around 600 million.
Yeah.
In terms of economic impact, most short term there, because I believe the article I read was not too long after the shooting anyway.
Yeah.
Sound in line with what you've heard?
Oh yeah. Nobody wanted to come here at that point. It was pretty grim here for a good month and a quarter after that.
600 million sticks to my mind, and then you look at this $800 million lawsuit, which is covered by insurance, effectively, looks like.
Yeah.
But that kind of economic impact, likely exceeding $1 billion before it's all said and done. And to think that there was some crisis cast or crisis actor business there to activities and send people running across a live runway to that line of thinking, and that would be permitted and allowed, and
there's no way, man. Listen, if you own the company,
economic impact, it's out.
If you own the company, not to interrupt you, but if you own the company that is the company that's hiring the crisis actors, Are you going to put your company at risk by letting people run across an airway? Does that really make sense to you? Right? Like, these people got to open their minds. Like, yeah, you may be able to contract some people through a Craigslist ad or whatever, but that doesn't give you the right to be running across the freeway. Nor do you think this town would definitely sue the shit out of you if you tried that shit and you had a company. Bottom line. Now the construction, or excuse me, now the security company that was working that night there too as well. I've hired them. I know the owner. I've hired them for my club. They've done security for my club many a nights, many a months. They're great people. They're not fake people. A lot of them are ex-military. They wanted me to come work for them because I was ex-military. They're very highly sought after as far as like all the companies that are security companies here in town. So I don't know, that the whole crisis actor thing is, that's cute on one level, but not to that extreme. We already know that. There's just no way.
Oh gosh, the acting, what do they call it? What, I actually looked it up. It's 105 Reno. It's dang it.
You there, buddy? Hello.
Hear me now? And I think Kipp might be back as well.
Good.
Let's see if it brings Kipp back in.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
There we go. Okay, I think we have Kipp back now, and I think I'm back now. So kind of lost track of where I was there. But yeah, these actor companies that train actors on how to go out and market themselves and progress in their acting careers in general. It's not about teaching them how to run and pretend something or fake stuff. It's about legitimate professional actor training. And if you look at different cities throughout the country, there's a lot of these operations. There's at least 4 in Houston. There's at least 4 in Dallas. And that was just an initial glance. You can see these same kind of studios, these actor studios. And so, but it's the people pushing this crisis actor theory that want to use those trigger words to suggest that there's validity in what they're claiming, and it's ridiculous, especially the guy I heard doing it, being that he's a professional private investigator, licensed private investigator, throwing that kind of stuff around, bring credibility about. But that's bullshit. He wanted to keep referencing that one place of business there in Vegas. Oh, it's an actor company. It's anyway. It's cheap bullshit. But that's finishing my thoughts on that part before my mic cut out.
Yeah, it's very far fetched. Yeah, that's too much. It's too much of a reach.
Yeah, I think Ouija has a question.
Yeah, what's up, Ouija?
And whoever else I missed along the way, maybe you want to repeat your question if you had one. I'm sorry if I missed you. Saint, I want Bud. He's our unruly overseas guy. No, he's awesome.
Absolutely.
Saint says I'm behaving. Every once in a while you can behave, you know. Rest of the time it doesn't matter. Where you at, Ouija?
Go for it, buddy. Let me know, Ouija, what you want to know.
Stage is yours, Ouija. We'll come back to Ouija if he re-enters the room.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm gonna throw something out there too. If anybody in this, in our community here wants to know anything and I can help, being that I'm a local here, anything you want to look at or you want to know about, no problem, man. I will go check it out or try to find out my best, because whatever I can do to bring some truth to this bullshit would be no problem. Kipp, I hold no hard feeling. Yes, Ouija, listen, I owe you an apology as well. And I said it to you one time, but I don't know if you heard me, but I'm going to formally say it. You know what I mean? I was kind of skewed as well. I was told that you were basically not sick and that you were scamming everybody for money with your situation there and it was by the same people that were, TS and all of them that were, they were not too much before that were putting out things for you, trying to support you. So I just want to personally say I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry to everybody I've ever talked shit to that's on this side. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't deserve that. And I sincerely mean that. You know what I mean? And especially you.
That's awesome, Kipp. I mean,
especially you, Daryl, though. I got to say that, because you know what? Like, honestly, I went hard on it, and I should have never, But that's what I'm saying. Like, even me, even though I think I might know this or that, I was skewed, and I won't lie, But I'll own up to that,
Well, that was well said, and I have, because you've already expressed how so much information was pushed in your direction about other people and in an attack-like manner, and the same thing took place with regards to Ouija. Information was put out.
Yeah. On that note, I don't want
to. And
I don't want to interrupt you, buddy, but looks like Daryl wrote, Kipp, the chat you were in, did Dub and the rest discuss the doxing? There was a chat that TIU started, right? I don't know who leaked it. If it was me, I would definitely fess up to that because that would be good. But no, they were talking about here and there. But I mean, again, man, the force from that is Truth Seeker. Bottom line, I believe she's the root of all of it, and because, like I said, I haven't heard from anybody else. Everybody else just follows her, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with she's the where it all came from, and I don't. There was no deep doxing like there was from all the emails that were sent to me with your pictures and this and that and your history and all this personal stuff. I don't know if that answers anything, but
well, there's always there's lies. Get certain people putting stuff out about somebody else, and then you have somebody who knows better and let it happen in an effort to take advantage of it themselves.
Yeah.
And that kind of describes Truth Seeker pretty well, I think.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, what's the motive though? Why would somebody work so hard for that? And you know what? I'm just going to say this: it ain't just our scene. It's what do you want? Go and take your pick, right? If you follow that girl, take your pick. She's jumping into all kinds of shit like an ambulance chaser and just stirring shit up. So I just feel that I'm not saying she's getting paid, but I'm just saying she sure goes pretty damn hard on all that. I don't know anybody that would put so much.
Well, it does bring about a sense. Go ahead, Kipp. Sorry.
I said, I don't know anybody that would put that much effort towards something unless they were actually getting paid, right? I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, man, it does bring about a sense that there's actively involved that there's become hell or high water because she's going to be the one who is the center on that conspiracy. So
yeah,
without a conspiracy, she doesn't exist, and so she'll let the disinfo roll and flow and all this kind of stuff because hey, it keeps her in the game. And then the attacks and the division and all the things that she's created in the community and participated in that to try to put herself up on a pedestal.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to figure out if it was for likes, if it was for subs. I don't know, man. At this point, I think it's more than just the subs. I mean, let's get real. I mean, what's she really getting out of that anyway? You know what I mean? That's where I'm like, wow, this shit's funky. I mean, I don't know.
Well, she's a useful tool for KL. Very useful tool for KL, and
yeah, for sure.
Let's see.
What's up? What's up, Ouija? Ouija says what? You're fucking with me because I'm feeling like I'm invisible right now. What's up, Ouija? Ask your question.
Oh shit! Did we miss you, man? Oh, Ouija, you want to come on, huh? Is that what you're saying, man? Give me the word. We can do it.
Yeah.
Coming to thanks, man.
CL, nobody else was doxxed to me. The only person that was doxxed to me was Daryl. That's it. I don't know. That's the only person that ever came through on me.
Ouija's thinking, man, do I just roll over and take a nap, or do I jump on here? Which how do I feel right now?
Thank you, Ouija. I appreciate that. It means a lot, man.
Whenever you're ready, Ouija, you know you can always come on, man. So let me know, man. Well, I don't want to make it an all-nighter, but we can do this again whenever. And if you got screenshots to show, and if anybody wants to see them, we can accommodate.
So listen, bottom line, if there's any question to my validity or whether I'm telling the truth or not, I'll clear it with Daryl. We can, no problem. We can share screenshots of my emails. I got no problem with that. I have no problem exposing people when they're not on the up and up. So, you know, that is no problem. I just want to clear that with him, obviously, just as like you wanted to do as well. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't want any more bullshit, man. I just wish people would, you know, there's enough bullshit in life. I wish people would actually just stop with that or move on. You know, the level of disrespect is what gets me. You know,
it's looking like it's pretty well played out. It's backfired in enough people's faces now, where I think they're finally losing their desire to go out and attack people. I mean, they've certainly done their fair share of it. Many of them have. So.
Right.
What the hell's left to do, you know? I mean, they showed their cards, their colors, and they've been called out for it. So.
Yeah.
You know, and we get the tired old stuff where we hear this, you know, there's bullshit on both sides.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be? You know, talk to me, Scott.
And Daryl, you are right. TS, notice she was always saying she was at work, but who the hell's at work and always online, right? Who's at work like in that kind of a position and always online? Let me ask you that question, because that shit would fly.
Hiding in the closet on the cell phone or something?
Yeah, come on, man. You can't even hide as much as she's always on. I mean, shit, I was working from home and she was the only one that was right there with me every time. You know what I mean? I don't know. I thought I had all the time in the world, but shit.
You're right, DL. Many times on this side had to defend themselves many times. The way Daryl puts it is very effective. He talks about being a counterpuncher, and that's what's had to happen as a result of these attacks. Hey, there's no denying where they came from. So someone will ignore that and pretend it's not the case, when in actuality it certainly is.
Yeah.
I think I understand you, Ouija, with apology to express compassion over the conflict you had last night. Well, any chance to shame the other party involved would be right up her alley, because there's been a long history of her wanting to do just that.
Right.
Saint, what have you been doing, man? And where have you been? You haven't been live streaming any? that I've seen. If I missed it, I apologize. But you were steady Eddie for a while at it. Saint's always got some good knowledge. I like his stuff. I like his streams.
For sure.
I'm not sure what you're offering up there, Ouija, but you can do that whenever you want to come online. 12-hour days at the new place, so it must be going good, Saint. Hope so.
What date did TS share that info with you? Let me look that up.
Good question, Fonspy.
Okay.
Got to start calling you by the right name, Fonspy. If I keep saying it like I have for the last year, you're finally going to have enough of me.
That would be March 15th, 2019 at 9:59 p.m. That's right, TS.
Okay, Weege. I'll send you the link to do so. Ouija says 10, 20 minutes, so buckle your seatbelts.
Yeah. Let's just do this here.
Working on it with them here. You should have it now, Ouija. Cameras, you want? Still able to hear me, Kipp?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, cool. You hear CL? Good. All right. Let's see. Kipp, turn on screen share or anything. I don't know if this is accurate. What's popping up on my side here, but
Oh, I was looking at stuff. It's the screen share. I don't even care if it's on, honestly, but I just want to mess you up. I'm just looking through some.
Yeah, right. Our bandwidth issue that we've had. It seems like it's probably on, but I'm not adding it to the stream, so it's fine. If
no worries. I was just looking through to see some dates.
Of course he is. No names.
I love it.
Well, I haven't seen Ouija come in. I hope you got the link okay. Ouija, you able to use that link all right?
Oh, Mike's killing me. Pointed. What's happening, buddy? CL, how did it make me feel? Kipp, the survivors you talked to, how did it make you feel? Very empathetic. Very I put myself in a position to where it was like one of my family members. And then when you do that, I mean, basically, you really, I mean, you feel the depth of it, obviously, but I mean, when you think of it that way, like if it was my son or what have you, it could have been my son or my wife, actually, because they were supposed to go there that night. They got VIP passes that night. Actually, the same guy who brought the 3 girls from Washington State, that he had brain fragments on his shirt from one of them. He was calling my girl and trying to invite her and her son to the VIP section that night. So they could have very well been them as well. So it hit very, very hard for me.
Yeah, I think Ouija's having some problems getting it to go past. And he's able to execute the link, but it's not allowing permissions properly.
I think he needs that Chrome.
So he's having a hard time. Yeah, you know, right.
No names. I didn't have a wife, but also a girlfriend. I know it's a lot to swallow. No, actually, I had a fiance. She was a girl.
You had a wife?
2 years. We broke up shortly after all that shit happened. I'd like to say actually 5-6 months after that happened. And then I met my wife about 6 months ago. So if that answers anything for you.
Awesome.
Mike.
Yeah, he's coming to you there, Kipp.
Yeah, pointed. I know it's crazy. You know, the drill shit went awry because everybody was talking about this fucking MacTac shit and all that. But no, the drill was that's for real, man. That's what was so weird for me, for them to put out a bulletin in Mandalay saying that. Now I know for a fact that didn't go on in our casino, that didn't go on in any of the other casinos, because I know people that are working there as well. But Mandalay did have a bulletin that said that, which is crazy. That's what kind of swayed me, to tell you the truth. I was like, well, something's not adding up here, you know? But again, good luck anybody trying to get that confirmed, because someone's going to have to lose their job to do so.
Right.
And that's what people don't understand. Why isn't somebody talking? Because they're happy with feeding their family. They don't want no shit. And if they get fired from there with that shit, good luck getting a job for some other company here, because they're all together. You know what I'm saying? They all know what's up. You can't go talking shit and then all of a sudden get a job around here. It's not that big of a town. you know?
It's another good question Pointed Stick has there.
Yeah. Any idea on how often? Okay. So no, I don't. That's the first time, because I've been here since 2010. I've been working all over. I've been in pretty much every casino right there on mid strip. And I've never heard of this any year. And I've been in a position every year where I would definitely hear it because I had staff under me. And no, that was the only time that I've ever heard of a drill. Yeah, you got a point, Mike. Drills every 6 weeks per region on average. But I'm just saying, as far as Vegas, I've never heard of it since 2010 on up to when the shooting happened.
Have you asked around to others in terms of the regularity that they may have heard of these kind of things?
Absolutely. No, not at all. Not at all. That's what I'm saying. It's really weird. And then that's what made me really dig deep into finding out, like looking into Marin and all that shit, looking into the money, following the money, seeing all that shit. And that's what made me really kind of like open up my mind towards, could this all be a Mac tack? Could this all be this and that? Could it all be whatever? Glowing belly, on and on and on. You know what I mean? But again, reality comes back to you when you walk the grounds, man. I mean, and plus when you ask a few people that have worked in the industry here, because they will talk to me because I work here too. But I mean, do you think I'm going to be able to get them to come on Facebook or YouTube and put their name to it? No, it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
No. Yeah, it's like a blackball.
Not hire list the casino chair.
It's like a blackball situation. Pointed. Yeah, you are on a list, and when you go to transfer to another place and get there, they're going to definitely do their background situation on you and find out. That's why I've kind of tried to watch what I was saying on Facebook, but I've reached a point where I was like, morals kind of take over. I'd rather be poor and have morals and and be able to sleep at night than fucking be rich and be a bullshitter. Personally.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. So there's no way to, well, obviously not. I was going to say explore that further and find any ties to what actually took place.
No, but one thing I can tell you, all of us gave blood for a couple of weeks later. After that, they were doing blood drives, man, because they were light on blood. So you tell me why the fuck they would go all the way out just to get what just because they wanted to fucking fill their blood banks too? I mean, there's just too many things that are just. I mean, come on. I don't know, man. It's a lot to swallow. That's why we're here. But I just, like you're saying, I think there's just too many things involved for it to be so simple as far as being all an act and all that bullshit. I think that, I think personally, like people with money don't have a problem sacrificing us citizens, such as 9/11 or what have you, because we're all just ants to them. Right. So at a certain point, I kind of, I feel some shit really went on, but I really feel that that's why, because we're just civilians,
General consensus regarding people's take on this? Pretty much just in agreement with the narrative.
Every single person I've talked
around Vegas.
Every single person I have talked to, whether they're friends with somebody that was there, whether they're a VIP host, whether they were working for the security company, what have you, has all said the same thing, which really kills me, which is multiple shooters. And then I try to take myself back to, okay, I'm military. I would know, but even then, it still would be like a an audio mirage for me because the way it would bounce off of everything right there. It's so hard to explain. You'd have to be here in Vegas to really kind of picture it, but and imagine it, right?
Oh, I bet I can imagine the acoustics on that situation. The potential for the microphone to pick up noises at times, depending on how close the supersonic crack was to a microphone.
Right.
That potential, not to mention the supersonic cracks themselves, moving and ranging in range of noise distribution as the projectile comes down through in relation to the person's ear who's hearing it.
Yeah.
All the glass buildings and so on and so forth. It's acoustical nightmare to be standing in. And then go back to how many people have been standing downrange when gunfire's raining down on them. I haven't. I like, but I'm the rifle.
Right.
You know, and you get different feedback.
You there, buddy?
To them as well. I mean, one of the things that you see in watching a lot of combat footage from helmet cams and stuff that the soldiers are wearing is first question, where is it? Where is it? They're getting incoming gunfire coming in their direction, and their first objective is obviously to identify where it is, and that question lingers for X amount of time, a varying amount of time. Each time you watch these different engagements, these different battles, there's a certain period where they've got to identify it. Well, obviously they're anticipating it, and they might even have an inclination coming from, but they're still asking the question. Put that into a setting where nobody's anticipating it, and it's a noisy concert stuff, and then the buzz factor, and few people are going to be able to figure out where it's going. I think we've got where it's coming from. I see G in here. Let me see if I can get him on.
Okay.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hey. Weed.
Hey guys.
There it is.
Dude, I had to jump on my my fire pad, that notepad thing, because my phone's a piece of shit right now. So excuse the mood I'm in. Like, I'm in one of those moods where I would love to just punch any cult member in the face right now, so it doesn't really matter. It's just one of those nights, that's all. But yeah, Kipp, I didn't mean anything ill will or anything mean or bad against you. Just, I had a feeling when you were over there that if you, just like CL and a few others, like CL called me one day and apologized. I'm like, what are you apologizing for? And she says, I kind of had to say some bad shit about you. And I'm like, I said, CL, people call me names and hate me all the time. Like, I get it. And if you didn't do it, I'm sure you would have been in the doghouse. So I hold nothing against you. I hold nothing against her. So
I appreciate it.
I don't know who Schofield is, but he's probably next on my list. I just really hope while I'm in this weird state of mind, that nobody fucks with me, because just don't mess with a stinking researcher, techie kind of guy. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. But so, what's the topic of the evening? Y'all there?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, Wade?
Yeah. So, what's the topic of the evening?
I don't know if you can hear me. I just muted my mic, and it takes a minute to unmute. But I'm getting ready to take a quick break and let you guys decide what the topic is and run with it, and then I'll join in when I get back.
I don't mind walking if that's cool because I'm fat.
You're the top.
I'm. Oh, buddy, people talk so much shit
All right, I'll
about
be
me.
right
I don't even care. I
back.
don't care anymore. Okay, who we got in here anyway? Let's see. Oh, there's that 5x5 News guy. You know, we gotta watch him. 5x5 News is friends with a guy named SFB. He's like some sort of secret agent. I don't know. Everything's secret agent these days, apparently. But yeah, Kipp. So I do have a question for you, Kipp. If you ever do go to Mandalay Bay,
Yeah.
so when it comes, I know Hunter and Mark Gallagher and a couple other people. There's so much information, and a lot of times, to be honest with you, I find people arguing the same point, like they're on the same page even, and they're fighting against each other. It's like it's really silly.
Right.
But when you have the stationary door, there are two types of models that are the most popular. One being the cheapo one, which would, if you look at the quality of the door, that would suggest it. However, from the mechanism on the inside of the stationary door, you can grab that latch like a handle,
Yeah.
and if you pull it up hard and go back down to neutral, it engages. I mean, you can hear it. I mean, it's a crunch, and it engages those pins. Now, if the same thing in reverse on the stationary door, to disengage those pins, you can grab the handle on the inside and go downward. You know, instead of, in lieu of having to say open the door and manually reach up and push it up, you know, on the top and push it down in the bottom, and you know, just brings the curiosity to me with like, which one is it, you know?
Right.
So like, if just keep it in the back of your mind if you ever cross that. I'm sure somebody like probably in the chat group has already done it, or who knows.
Right.
The other thing is there's so many. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. I love you guys. You guys. I've made myself a home here. I'm not a narrative guy. There's so many non-narrative people in this group. I hate the word hoaxer because I back up everything I say.
Right.
And as a grown man, I gotta tell you, those two guys claiming that those you know, the adjoining doors are solid wood when they're fiberglass that's an eighth of an inch thick with like gypsum in it, you know, and they can't kick it to where it flexes enough. All it needs to do is flex literally 3/8 of an inch, and it would give way. And just such a cop out. Like, we're talking two people who should be used to kicking doors in. I don't know if you ever remember that video where like a chunk in the Goonies just put chocolate on and eat your way right through this. Like, I personally, I could run through those doors. I'm 260 pounds of bear. You know, I can run right through them sons of bitches. But you got Levi and a couple other people claiming that they kicked that door so many times and it was solid wood. I mean, this is their testimony. But we know that's the fucking joke.
Yeah, we didn't see that at all, did we? I never
Bro,
saw it.
No, I literally no, we don't see that.
Right.
But like I literally line by line I studied it, and I'm sitting there saying, look, I'm not there's no hoaxing about it, because what hurts me in my heart the most is that there's 8,000 witnesses that are in fear of what really the hell is going on down there below, but there's only a handful of people that know what the fuck's going on 32.
Right.
And so, with that said, people can sit there and try to like say, "Oh, this, that." Yeah, there are multiple crime scenes. In fact, on floor 32, there are more than just the crime scene that Stephen Paddock committed, in my opinion. because I damn sure can charge a certain entity with crimes. To me, you see how, like, I'm gonna throw some names out there like Raymond Nakla and some of these other SWAT members. They call in to all their little do monkeys and say, no, you are to stand down. You are not to go any farther. You are to wait for SWAT to enter. And it's like, okay, we're talking about a guy who's laying in a room. Our sniper's verified, hasn't moved for 45 minutes. Like, we're all trained professionals here. That's why there's a gun on my hip. And we have Joe Lombardo bragging about how we work together as a four-man group, but we have to wait for SWAT. And so, to me, it was really. I'm not saying it's untrue. I'm saying that there's a lot of oddities that I know that they would have a very, very, very hard time asking. And I know Michael Turber gets a chance often to chime into, like, Dickhead Lombardo here and there. But
Right.
the big question is the Fraternal Order of the Police made it a huge. I wish I could explain to you how big the issue is when you accidentally discharge a weapon, especially especially
For
in a
sure.
crime. Especially in a crime, even though the way it happened and where it happened is completely impossible. The point is they publicly stated that it did in fact happen, and so
Mhm.
because they publicly stated and documented that it did happen, the order, every single department across America says, I mean, it's ordered, you remove that man from his weapon
Right.
instantly. You
Instantly.
send
Yeah.
him instantly. But listen, SWAT has their own doctor downstairs. That's who looked at the campos. You send him instantly to the SWAT doctor to get checked out and evaluated. But no, he went right back to work on the fourth floor. Could you imagine if O'Donnell popped Levi in the head? Like, who's liable now?
Right.
You didn't follow procedure. And I'll be honest with you, for that to actually unfold the way that it did, it literally makes me think that the so-called bullshit discharge didn't happen because, legally speaking, he couldn't go back to work if it did. But
Right.
because we see him going back to work, maybe it's just, the whole, oh yeah, man, I just slipped. That shit doesn't fly in that kind of industry.
No.
The
Oh.
eh, I don't know. Maybe somebody who is listening is one in that blue stripe gang, but I just the fraternal police made it an issue, and you know where it all started too is like the whole live ammunition, especially when you guys were all working as a group for training. But I'm not saying that they were training. But in Fort Myers here in Florida, they were doing training with live ammo, and this son bitch got shot and killed. And fraternal, I can't believe how strong and powerful the Fraternal Order of Police are. But they shut it down. Like, no department is allowed to ever use live ammunition during training anymore. And, there's so many questions I have, and I compare it to some of my notes, but it's hard to get people to agree with me because it seems as if everybody just wants to argue.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And the other thing is the reason why this community fell apart, just to vent, is that when egos get into play, and when certain people take their opinion and want it to be a fact, like they dream of it being and visualize it being a fact, but it's nothing more than their opinion, and it's a snowball effect, right?
Mhm.
And if you don't agree with them, they hate you. And that, listen, don't get me wrong, KL being the way she is, that doesn't help either. But there's a snowball effect of where, oh, you believe this or we believe that. And I do love 1005, I really wish that he compares his energy calcs with other explosives. But like when other people are watching and listening, sometimes that stuff can snowball effect into, it can literally create a whole nother group that's like, no, you're wrong, or no, you're right. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? When people claiming things as fact when it's just opinion is a huge issue as to why this community quickly divided.
Yeah.
You know, that sucks. You know,
It's
but
true.
anyway, I try to look at things positive and from a logical standpoint. It's hard when you have Turber calling your phone every 5 minutes. He's like, "Do you want more chicken?" I'm like, "No, Colonel." And but I love him too. I love him too. Isn't that right, Mike? Um, I'm just one of those moods, guy. Like, I'll tell you exactly what happened to me today. So I go all the way 80-mile round trip, and I live literally off of I live off of pennies because they got my Medicare messed up. So I go all the way to the doctor, and he wants to re-see me on Monday, but he gives me a 7-pill trial. By the time I get all the way home into the pharmacy, they already X'd the possibility of getting the script filled. And okay, so I called the doctor. Well, now we're gonna force you into going into pain management. I'm like, okay, I really don't give a shit, whatever, because I qualify for everything. Well, in the state of Florida, guess what? Pain management doesn't take Medicare. It's just like it's like they literally want you to die before you get proper care. And with all the other headaches going on, it was just a really shitty day. So I mean, it's no one's fault but my own. But you know, I guess to be honest with you, I want to take a couple boxing bags and tape some cult member faces to it, and I'm not even gonna punch it. I'll just start there sitting there and shoot the damn thing. I don't know.
Honestly, they're not worth your time, man.
No, it's not. The best part is we can all blame Turber. I love it. Like, I love Mike Turber because guess what? No matter who does what, Turber gets blamed anyway. Like, that's how. Like, I love Turber because it's like no matter what, Turber can say, guys, no, that didn't happen, and there could be a scientific reason why it didn't happen. By golly, Turber's full of shit. They'll say,
Yeah.
Guy's a smart man.
Absolutely.
I mean, and if he's not smart, he's extremely logical, something that they can't comprehend. And
I think that's where it comes from. When you can't achieve that yourself, you kind of hate on people when you're like that, I guess, right? And so that's where I think that comes from, man, because they can't achieve it. Unfortunately.
And I'll tell you something else. They've attacked me. They've attacked CL, you, 10, and everybody, But Mike Turber has been the topic of more 4-hour live streams than I've ever heard. I mean, it's like Mike Turber radio without Mike Turber. It's It's crazy. I mean, I think KL secretly loves him. I don't know.
I think she hates because she can't get as close to everything that he can, and that's the thing. Like, these people all hate on him because they're not as close as he is to everything. That's the bottom line for me. I mean, I don't see them on the ground. I don't see them showing shit. I've seen more factual evidence come from Mike than anybody. And I'd have to say that 10 comes in hard.
That's good. Oh no, yeah, I don't say that. I mean, I guess
for me.
Yeah, it is what it is. The only thing about Mike is he's self-proclaimed like he's like good looking, which he's not, but apparently he's trying to fool people. But it is what it is. Actually, honestly, we all don't agree exactly on the same thing, but we also don't have to fight amongst each other. Like,
No.
do they not have that concept? Did you see KL correct Foe in the comment section the other night? Foe just said the odds of those living together are 3,000,000 to 1, which is literally more than that, but he says 3,000,000 to 1. And KL attacks him and says, "You respect our guest or get the fuck out." And the thing is I'm not gonna mention any of the ladies' names, but I can name 5 off my hand right now who I befriended everybody in this community. And KL has literally had them call. They call me crying because KL either gave them a verbatim on who they can and can't be friends with. You know,
Yeah.
what's so funny, and I know y'all don't like TS, but because I didn't cut ties with TS, KL and Truth Bomb, I mean, they X'd me. And then it wasn't but 2 weeks later, they're all buddy, and I'm sitting there saying, well, this is a weird twist of events, you know?
Yeah.
And with that being said, it's like at that point when you're losing, I mean, you just got to recruit any which way you can, I guess. You know?
Right.
I sure as shit hope that the 400 plus people at most that watch their live streams don't actually buy into all the bullshit. Because like there's a conversation I'd love to save about Nini not knowing what a hollow point bullet is and what it does. But the second Paladin asks a question about it, Nini answers it instantly, but then like a millionth of a second ago, she didn't even know what the fuck it was. And you got Dalen saying that every ammunition up in Room 135 was a hollow point and a frag bullet. I mean, and Paladin says when a hollow point hits a human body, does it blow up in pieces? Well, the truth is there's a big difference between a frag round and a
Right.
hollow point.
Right.
One's gonna mushroom and blow the shit out of you, and the other one is just gonna blow in pieces. And as a PI, how the fuck do you not know that, dude?
Right.
I mean, has the cigarette smoke got to the head? You know,
Right.
it's like, holy shit. I don't know. Maybe I'm ranting. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing what they do right now. I literally feel like I'm doing what they do every night. You know? But I can't wait. I'm going on a formal live with we all know each other by name here, but I'll just say Secret Save with you and KL. I'm doing one formal live about my health and the community, and I'll take any questions because it's not a pat on the back. I just put my time in. So if anybody has any questions on Vegas or any aspect of it, I would love to learn more, but I'm sure that I can teach others. And if you're part of that Facebook chat group the other night, you sure shit got a lot of information, didn't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rock it out, Ouija. Rock it out, man.
There's old Scott Liowski. That son bitch, he is a musical whiz kid. I love it. Scott says, I'll never forget, like, it was like 3 months ago, or I don't know, maybe like 5 months ago. Scott's like, yeah, that Ouija, he got really snippy with me one time. I'm like, oh shit, did I? I didn't mean to. Dude, that guy can kick my ass. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry, man, I didn't mean to. And then we just laughed it off. I love Scotty and Lewis, and you know, I'll tell you something. I've seen in this last 2 years, I have met such a vast variety of individuals that it's really uncommon. I mean, it's crazy. Like, you used to look at people like, oh, okay, like you look at ethics, their ethnic groups. So you're like, oh yeah, you got the Italian dude over there, he talks Italian, like, and then you got these, you got a couple black fellas over here and whatever. But now you got crazies, or you got nutties, or I mean, like the topics have all expanded, and I've literally met some super super awesome people, and I'm so glad I did, and I wouldn't take it away for nothing. And since this is our private chat, I will let you guys know that I don't have long. I have probably about, I don't know, a year and a half. So, but yeah, that's about that. All of a sudden the other side wants to work together and make a book. Yeah, you can, I guess, eventually, if you keep stealing everybody's information, right, wrong, or indifferent, I guess. Yeah. I
You gonna
could
put all the
swear.
lies in that book?
Hey Todd. Hey, did you happen to see that, Todd? That there's a photo going around of 5x5 and Paladin walking around shaking hands. I mean, did they live together?
Really? I
I
think they did. Yeah.
love it.
I think they're both sent here to divide the community with their bullshit.
Okay, tomatoes. Yeah, what else we got here? I love CL. You know what? And you know what? See about CL and like Jeff, and there's a couple of people. I felt horrible because let me tell you something. I went to Alabama for 2 years to do some work, and I did. I got caught up in a bad situation. I was stripped naked, and I had a 45 pressed right to my temple, and it was give me all you got, or And I walked down the street back to my hotel like naked as a jaybird, and so like I've been in situations that suck, but the truth is, when she tried to tell her story, she got attacked as hell. When I told my story, people felt bad for me. But when she told her story, these sons of bitches call her every name in the book. And I'm going to tell you, I wish I can explain to you about everything I can find and hide, and there's things I haven't told anybody. But I love giving it to people like KL to make the final decision. So let KL stick that knife in that back, because she is one of those who deserves to be able to say, hey, you guys really fucked up by attacking me. I don't care. What are they gonna do to me? Come to my house. I live in Rotunda, Florida. Everyone knows my name. Come see me. I'm gonna die soon anyway, but I'm gonna promise you, you're not gonna have fun either. So let's just get it over with if you have a problem with me. But these people like CL and some of the most kindest people in this community, the last thing you need to do is deal with people who you don't know, B, who doesn't want your kids or don't pay your bills, and it's like, what do they want respect when they don't even give respect? Yeah. I'm surprised that this is even held together.
Right.
But anyway, I guess I'm rambling, but I didn't get my meds.
Well, hell, I got tired of rambling, man.
Well, it sucks too, dude. Like they know, because I'll tell this story too. The reason why, and now I will tell you right now, I'm so over anxious. I can't. It scares me to death to ask for money or ask for help. But my Medicare's been fucked up for 13 months because what's happened is because I made so much money in the past working on power plants and all that kind of stuff. My daughter gets a dividend of about $800 a month. Now, when in the state of Florida, when your child gets a dividend from your disability that way super exceeds the child support amount anyway, it basically just cancels out your child support. Well, guess what they've been doing for 13 months? They've been giving her the dividend, and they're taking it out of my check as well. So like I'm literally live off of nothing.
Oh man.
So I mean, when I ask for help, it's not like they ran a campaign just as big as the campaign for me to help me get the endoscopes, they ran the same size campaign telling people don't give it to him because he's this, he's a junkie, that he's this, he's that. Well, I'll tell you what, get your chest cracked open 3 times, and that alone tell me how that feels.
Right.
That's way before they cut you and rip you, and you wake up with hoses in your dick. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like life sucks. I get it, but it's like these people, I helped them for the past 2 years, and 90% of the time I helped them, and secrets you can attest, I helped them from a hospital bed.
Yeah.
So who in the hell are they to sit there and start telling people, oh, he's faking it, he's faking it? Like, I'm sitting here telling Todd, I'm like, hey, check this out. Look at this newspaper and look at the nurse or look at this whatever, But I guess you can't win with people. People are
nasty.
Well, they're here. It seems like a trend, man. It's shit on the very first person you find. If you're close enough, you're gonna get shat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had a drywall knife, right? That is long enough that I could just saw California off, send that bitch back out to sea, or somehow take California and throw it into Syria, and kind of solve some problems. I don't know. Yeah, politically, no one wants to give Trump a fair shake. Did you see the Republicans storming? Like, they had no choice. Like, what is this world coming to? We're gonna find out. I'll tell you. I promise you that. If you're in this
California's pretty
chat,
much divided into.
yeah, well, yeah, it's always gonna be a blue state, though. Oh, did you see California divided into what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll always be
It's
blue,
always
though. It's Minnesota they're talking about. Like, Minnesota has to be a red state. Ohio has to be red. John Kasich, what a traitor. I'm not trying to get political with everybody, but I guess it's just another topic I researched. But, I mean, for Hillary Clinton to still not give up, oh, man. I put a couple people, hey, you remember that whole celebrity deathmatch thing? Like, you guys people bet on who's going to die next? Y'all remember those things? Or am I losing my mind?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, I can tell you right. I gotta tell you right now. I'm thinking it's either gonna be Ozzy Osbourne or it's gonna be Bill Clinton. It's one of those two because one of those two gotta go down. I mean, neither one of them. They both served their time, I guess, but they're definitely on the 2020 list.
So, Ouija, I did have an interview type question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely.
Now, you've been accused of, some sort of racial behavior, and I want to know if you've sought out treatment for that, and have you fully recovered from it, and
I got sent to. Well, I got sent to a camp, right, where all the people in the camp, like all the masters, were mixed in color, and they whip you until you understand. No,
Okay.
but legitimately, my family, right, we're a big Italian family, and my cousins on the bigger side that still live in Jersey and New York, they married in. I have my entire cousins from one side. They all marry interracial marriages, and they're all awesome. Like this one guy, he owns them. He's an entrepreneur. The other one is he was a professional swimmer, like in the Olympics and running, and now he's got his daughters in it. I mean, these are people who are my own blood. Like, I never viewed color as. Don't get me wrong, you can have a gang of colored folks, just like you can have a gang of white assholes. Like, to me, I look past that. But I've never, and I swear on my life, I will die tonight if I'm lying. I never, ever even mentioned anything about. I can't even understand why she would even come up with such a callous, horrible thing to say. And the most ironic thing is a year ago, she pulled that shit on someone else who didn't even know that she was being blamed for it. And she was sitting there talking to other people how Marie D was such a racial this, racial that. How the coincidence was in the TIU chat when she's blaming me for being racist, she's literally telling Marie D. Like I can't make that up. I really thank you for asking the question, but I, as long as you guys have known me, have you ever heard? I'm sure you guys haven't heard anything racist out of my mouth.
Nope.
And it's just, you know. And now here's the hard side of me. Here's another thing. Here's the hard side of me. What if we were? Who gives a fuck? Do you realize they did a 4-hour live stream bashing the fucking shit out of me, blaming me for all this and that and lies, and destroyed a segment of my life? They destroyed 10. They destroyed Kipp. They destroyed Secrets. They destroyed CL. Like, does all of a sudden the race card like override everything? Don't get me wrong. It never existed. I'm just saying. What the fuck? Like, who is to actually be judge and jury on what is acceptable or what's not? I've never, and the best is they play their little fiddles in the background of like how awesome. Oh, we want to talk about Vegas every time. It's never about Vegas. It's about Turber lately, because Turber is some sort of quantum physics, invisible cloaking know-it-all who delivers donuts to his friends, and it's like that's what they want to talk about. And just, to me, if that's what they mean by talking about Vegas, I don't know what else to say. And don't get me wrong, I will tell you this: there are a few things, without getting in an argument, that I can show, and we're on the floor of 32. There are things that I agree, because me and KL did in fact do a lot of work together. Made me sick hearing how Paladin did this and Paladin helped find that, and no, he did not. I have it all on record. Me and KL, as much as I'm dislike her right now, we have a lot in common when it comes to research. I mean, Truth Bomb used to brag about how he was just handed information. Me and KL fought like a cat and a dog. But, you know, there are very, very questionable things on 32, and I'll tell you why. Once again, that looking down below, y'all are holding hands. Y'all go to anniversaries. Those are 8,000 people who were scared and had legitimate fear and death and injury and chaos, and they witnessed that shit. And there was no one who would ever risk wanting to legally get caught being down there. So all that shit's legit. But now the handful of people that are only allowed to access a double room where we're not even getting information from, that's where things do get questionable. Sorry. You know? I just only hope that these people who are suing can still sue Live Nation. They can sue their own insurances. They can sue Las Vegas Metro. They can sue Clark County. They can sue the City of Paradise. I mean, I sure hope Divine Print doesn't block them from that. Because if I was down there, if my 10-year-old daughter was ever scared to go to a concert for the rest of her life at 10 years old, I would roundhouse kick Lombardo in the face so hard. Like, even I don't even care if it was his fault or not. The point is, my daughter sits there and asks me, "Hey, Dad, like, should we go?" Like, I don't even want that to even be a question. We don't live in fear in this house. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I'm just talking.
No, I hear you.
But I mean, you they need to pay attention. Me and Eddie Smith have gone head to head many times, but by God, there is not a soul who had went down and painted and helped them people. Like, if I didn't like Eddie, I love him for what he does, but it just so happens I like him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's the truth. I mean, shit. I try my best to be a good guy, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna make it like that good. But anyway, this is FSB, and I am tired. I am tired. FSB is little name on itself. So I'll let y'all go. I'm glad that I got this son bitch to work. But I am gonna go
Yeah.
live on Todd's channel, and when it comes to Vegas questions, it's not just gonna be my opinion. I mean, I will literally send you factual information if you need be, and I can answer all your questions that I possibly can. And the greatest part about me, unlike a lot of people, I'm totally cool with saying I don't know.
Right.
I don't understand why so many people are so scared to say I don't know in this world today. But boy, I've heard some shit. You know. But I think my belly's starting to glow.
Heard some shit.
Yeah, my belly's starting to glow, and my my air intake, that my mouthpiece, that I sleep with a snorkel on. Some bitch
Man,
doesn't
dude, I
work that
worked this
well
week.
either.
We got to do a body cam reenactment. It sucks, man.
Yeah.
We got to do a whole
Has
deal in the
anybody ever?
lobby.
What happened? What you say, Tom?
We got to do a deal in the lobby. There's one hotel here in Houston. We got to do all these body cam reenactments and shit. And I got to manage the dog. I got to get the dog to do this the first time as he did the second.
Uh-huh.
And
So there is a little confusion, just for food for thought. For some reason, across my mind is people think, oh, Magico is first on scene, because people think that the guy riding the bike across the street or whatever, and he runs in Mandalay Bay, they think that that's Magico. Blah blah blah. No, Magico was serving a warrant that night. He was in a private vehicle. He left the house he was searching a warrant to. But nevertheless, here's the best part. You got O'Donnell and you got Levi, not only in the master bedroom reading off private information at the time of the breach, but even before the second breach, they're looking through his wallet on the bar with identities. Now, at this point in time, Machiko never entered that room. He never entered. But then all of a sudden, down the road, you'll hear his statement say, "Oh yeah, I was in there and I was told to search for Paddock's identity. We didn't have to search hard because I already called it in an hour and a half ago." So, it just nothing. I tell you guys, chronologically, nothing adds up. And I'd be embarrassed. I mean, if these are the people who are supposed to be the best and the taxpayers pay, they did the most embarrassing. They globally and optically embarrassed the fuck out of America. Like, it's pathetic. But anyway, that's me. Fat Bastard is about to leave, so I hope you all have a good night.
Have a great night, Ouija. It was great
You
talking.
too, man. I love you all.
All love and respect to you, buddy.
hang in there, man.
Yep. Take care, guys.
Take care, Weech.
See you, buddy.
Well, Kipp, how late should we keep these folks up tonight? Hell asleep, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you came on, Kipp, and shared his and you did a good job with it. It's great to have you on. So it's always bounce in and the folks as much as you want around here. It's always an open door for me for you. And you know, anything that pops up that's fresh on your mind, everybody be happy to have.
I thank you for having me on, man. It was great talking with you, my man.
Man, my pleasure. I guess we'll let everybody get some rest, and that includes me. So I'm going to do anything productive tomorrow.
Well, you all have a fabulous night, man. And I look forward to speaking with you again sometime soon, my man.
Okay, Kipp. Sounds awesome, man. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it. Tomatoes, Scott, CL, everybody in the chat that's still awake. Saint. Who am I missing? Anybody? Fawn Spy still there? Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Have
Always.
a great night, guys.
Take care, buddy. Have a good night. See you, Kipp.
See you, buddy.
See you, buddy. Might take this thing a minute to shut that down, but anyway. Catch y'all next time.